Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight about disability entrepreneurship. So I'm really interested in sharing with you all about my lived experiences with people with disability. I also really thank you for your time in coming tonight and a quick talk about how we make our disability startup program more inclusive. I would like to introduce you to my experiences before how I can help you to work out through how the people with disability can participate in your program. Just before we get on to this, there is at least 13% of people with disability are identified as self-employed in Australia. This rate has been recognised at the survey by the University of Technology, Sydney. And I've been talking with the researcher a couple of months ago on the national conversation group I run with. I was very surprised that the statistic is actually twice higher than the people without disability. And then this number is still increasing, and especially before the pandemic, and now it might be influenced by the post-pandemic recovery. So I have a person with a disability. So I lost my hearing when I was a kid. I was a person was wearing hearing aids under my headphones, and I was diagnosed with Asperger, which is now classified as high function autism, in the same year when I started high school. So I was really challenging around navigation, around communication, and social challenges. I found it interesting being involved with environment and being outdoor when I was participating in segregated program for people with hearing loss, or the deaf camp, we call that in the early days. We got recreational camps around along New South Wales coast, between Port Macquarie and the border in Queensland, and that's where I usually grew up before I moved to Brisbane 5 years ago. I have a two academic background and one that's more recently Master in Environmental Management. It's just because I want to pursue in passion about environmental sustainability. So after I graduated, I decided I wanted to apply to a lot of graduate jobs, and a lot of job application could be related to my career or getting myself where I want to go. Unfortunately, I'm being rejected each time. Even I had support with the people around me, it couldn't get any further. So it is really challenging period for me, because where did this life take to? And, I have a lot of ambition. I would show people my passion, but unfortunately didn't get that further. And that's before I founded Mathew Freedom in 2017, which I will talk about in the next slide. Mathew Freedom is really based on lived experience. People with disability and people with a mental health background, and find the meaningful participation with the natural environment, with the project, butcher generator, to outdoor activity involve a popular program, inclusive paddling. We just had one on Saturday just then. We have 14 of us. It was a really good number. Inclusion means that it's not just people with disability or mental health. We also include people, especially young people without disability, part of the program. So it shows the way how we put it together in one place to make the reality of inclusion. So that's where it comes to social inclusion and the values and employment. So it comes about accessibility and equity and the social economic opportunity. And that's where we focus on the social enterprise trade in indirect employment opportunity. My journey of Mathew Freedom was started with the Foundation Young Australian program, the Young Social Pioneer, back in 2017. And I continued with the iLab Germany Accelerator program at the University of Queensland in 2018. And I joined the Impact Boom, the Social Enterprise Accelerator program in 2019, which is last year. So this is my experience, the journey. I'm a person with a disability. on those programs. So if I walk around in the room, it's what I call mainstream. Mainstream was that it's not either or nor to be inclusive or accessible, but also means that to design the program is tailored for anyone, not everybody. So it just really focused on what the like a business application or the program would look like. So these really were the additional challenge and barrier. From the beginning of my journey with trying to find a job after I graduate, and now I have another challenge with going through communication, understanding how I can utilize my build skill, capacity skills development through my leadership, being a social entrepreneur. So there's a lot of challenges around understanding language with people, and also the value around understanding about what I mean about inclusion, how to include me in the program. So it's not socially isolating experience, but I had a really good experience in being participating with other people on the program. But this is about different experience. So already come entering something new in the mainstream. So before I go to the next three slides quickly, I was looking at about how the inclusion really means about when someone being different. It's just like I'm gonna say I don't care who you are, but I really care about what your values or what your ambitions are, and then we can help you about this. And what is so important about to improve recently about the social inclusion and entertainment and nature freedom part of that, and including employment. So it's about participating inclusively together and collaboration, partnership, and all the people from different backgrounds make friends and connection. There's just so many positive benefits coming out of that. It just improve your values and branding of your business program, invitation program, or whatever where you come from. And it really adds a big game change in value. So the first one is about mentor. Mentor, it was my first challenge. When I come join the program, mentor is to really have a little bit more personal experience. So a lot of the mentor I met, it's really get onto what the arcs I need to improve. Like I need to understand about marketing, what the marketing challenges are, what the issues around this. I need to help my mentor to grow. But the initial challenge with communicating with the mentor might not understand of a disability. So how that person communicate or approach you in terms of language and guiding the social cues or body language or in terms of accessibility. There's something about myself with hearing loss or someone with vision impaired. So the mentor a first phase with a lot of people in the startup invitation program, how to help you thrive to the next level. So we can understand from the person with disability perspective, we need to make it a little bit more personal to make sure we're on the same level. The second one is about pitching. It's another really interesting challenge. So in this picture here, it's with the ILO program at University of Queensland. Now, I find it really interesting because it's my first kind of pitch experience. I had one previously with Foundation in Australia the year before, but this one is more about exposure to the angel investor, to some other mentor. You haven't met to other people from government firm or agency or branches, whatever that come from. The actual challenge is about what the message is trying to send to them. It's about a lack of empathy coming from where you're coming from. So I've got my brand, I've got my value. This is what this nation freedom is about. But what they don't understand is about why it is this. I say it's like improving social inclusion. Okay, everybody knows that because a lot of organizations out there are doing the same thing. But this is the case about just your story. It's about where you're coming from. I feel socially isolated because I can't find someone to share my passion with. This is the message. Sometimes investors might not understand, especially what disability you might have, to present yourself, showcase. And the people in the story, what I have pictures and video, is about understanding who they are. So my advice on this is about when you're listening to something, okay, you've got a really good business model, you've got a really good business plan, you've got really good financial sustainability for long term. It's just about the impact. So I call myself the social impact. And it's the added value in the story, how you're involved in inclusion. So that's a really hard message to come across to get the investment opportunity. I would involve people with disability want to have their business becoming a reality. The last one is another interesting one I've experienced over the years before I started into those programs, before Nation Freedom. I was socially anxious. I have social anxiety, and I struggle to understand, communicate with people about like starting from path from greeting. Hello, how are you? My name is Mathew. How are you? What's your name? Where you come from? But it's really hard to navigate a conversation when we're talking about, especially in a group context. So more honestly, I see that with a networking event, sometimes we don't understand what's the intention of the network, what's the expected outcome. I understand that everybody feel that you might not expect what's going to happen after this night or the networking event, but it's about understanding that the communications are what you really intended to say or ask, or what you're going to try looking for, make friends, or you're looking for someone to work with, collaboration to partnership. So it's all about around this area of communication. So that I feel um, really navigating at the same time. I'm looking about myself because I'm a face of an organization. I founded this, so I'm leading in this. And it is how you're present with yourself. So that's really tricky for a lot of people with very different background and disability. And how do they navigate that the communication in the network? Now, at the networking event, mostly this year, it's been online, so it might be a little bit easier. Depending if you have a technology access from home or where you are. But in face to face, before the pandemic, it was really about getting around in places. And you got background noise. It's very sensory. It's very challenging. And but on Zoom, I'm like this. People talk one at a time. It feels like calming, soothing, and I'm able to feel I'm here too and listen to the other. So I know that we might come back to face to face again in a year's time or so, but it's pretty scary for a lot of people with disability who want to start business from now, and then something happen next year. So if you come across a new person in your business, it's let them feel what is happening, feeling that make sure they feel included. You don't have to check all the time, it's to be sure they are participating in the activity. So that's the most important experience what I learned from being socially anxious young person, and now I'm confident and it's just talk to anyone. So before I head off to the Q&A session or chat session, I have on my second computer screen up here. It's very, very interesting. So your questions or your comments or advice, I'm happy to do it. So my organization is not just the only business I have. I also run consulting service for the people like you in the business startup invitation services program. So including inside, it's a program that help to understand the middle ground of communication around inclusion, accessibility, and co-design, especially inclusive co-design, which is the different in actual design thinking. So inclusive co-design includes somebody in the conversation of co-design. It's a very diverse background. So, helping about understanding the business model in terms of your communication background of your your disability and what's your interest and passion in the business plan or model at the beginning, the mentor. I help you to design the mentor toolkit that to guide the communication between the program facilitator, the mentor, the participant and even the participant supporter compared to their parent, family, or the carer support worker. And it's the same for all other programs you can develop. Hackathon, inclusive hackathon experience, people navigate accessibility, technology, and inclusion impact around social its impact storytelling, how do they feel included the message of the business model. So there's a lot of space to work on because we see 13%. It's quite a big number. Especially a lot of us have been around in a network event I have, and the people here tonight, where you're coming from, it should be a very big number. And the number will be increasing as well. But I'm really, really inspired to see a lot of people have their ideas and brought up with solution based on their lived experience. I have a few people up here in Brisbane, for example, who want to start their the navigation of your star, astronomy star constellation using a mobile phone. I was really amazing. So the person designed it from someone who is vision impaired. And I was like, I never thought that this is going to happen if you provide them the opportunity. Another side of the message before I get onto the Q&A, if you have an opportunity to offer the people involved in the program, it's be really open. Trying to inspire them, giving the message. You're going to let them feel trust in you, feel the confidence. Like when you're showing an opportunity for them, it's not like, are you allowed to join, but think about how you feel included. It's about offer them like what's your idea, what the goals are, and then you can build from short term to long term, and they might be filled a part of the program. So if you're looking at your program in 5 years' time, looking back, you made a difference. That it's very important to crack that number of 13% to be supported by the industry. And then there's a lot of opportunities around NDIS, which most of you might not heard of. It's a National Disability Insurance Scheme. There's a lot of self-employment support around this. It's a really good socio-economic investment for the participant to spend on what support they need that really helps you to provide them with service. So there's another opportunity, especially in the apprenticeship space, where the disability founder might feel immersion coming out of this space. So that, for example, I have an inclusive assistant, which is like a personal assistant, but not personal. Because I'm a CEO, I'm Nancy Freedom. My NDIS plan funds me to pay the wage of the person to support my way to communication, writing, documentation, all that. There's so many amazing opportunities. Because I'm offering a job to someone to support you. So to think about looking back, it's so much opportunity. So if you talk about inclusion and accessibility, it's really amazing. I really, really hope tonight's session has really inspired you. So I'm really looking forward to your question or advice or comment. I'm really more than happy. Thank you, everyone.